Greetings, Mary. Have a seat. Here we go. You have had 4 incidences of cancer, and I'm going to ask you in a moment to share with us a bit of your story and thoughts on survivorship. But I want to ask the audience's indulgence for a minute. Mary tweets at MMW Billington. She's got a fabulous array of tweets that have been curated here for me, and I just want to read some of them. September 12th, diagnosed at 6 months old. My bar was set at cancer. I'm really happy when I don't have cancer, but I'm totally shocked when not totally shocked when I do.
Totally shocked.
Before that, TSA agent remembered me from last time she patted me down after I opted out of security scan. I know I'm out of cancer woods, or that I think I am, when I'm so focused on work I can't find time and day to make a doctor's appointment. Priorities, question mark. In my world, few things are more comforting than hearing a trusted doctor say, Mary, I will always be your doctor. I had a false sense of security about Obamacare and my health care. Just learned that Sloan Kettering is not in network for any ACA plan. Scary. And finally, beating cancer doesn't have to be defined in medical terms. I often think if I ever lose the desire to laugh, then cancer will have won. It's a wonderful array of humor, and I've had the opportunity to read some of your blogs. You're just human and happy, for the most part, through some very trying times. Tell us what you've gone through.
Sure. So it's a little bit of a long story. So I'm going to try to give the Cliff Notes version today, and I apologize if some of it feels a little abrupt. Trust me, it caught me off guard too. So I am a 4-time cancer survivor. I was first diagnosed when I was 6 months old with tumors in the retinas of both of my eyes, and I received a month of daily radiation treatments for that. And then when I was 12 years old, I was diagnosed with a bone tumor in my right sinus, which was a late effect of the radiation I had had as a baby. So the radiation that successfully treated my first cancer diagnosis effectively caused my second cancer diagnosis. So at 12 years old, I had a year of chemo and surgery to remove that tumor. And that surgery also required the removal of my right eye. And so the eye patch has been a fashion accessory ever since. And then I was out of treatment for about 2 years when I was diagnosed with another bone tumor, this time in my heart. And so just after my 15th birthday, I had open heart surgery to remove that tumor, which was successful, followed by another year of chemo, essentially to prevent a similar metastasis from happening again, right? Making sure there were no rogue cells floating around my bloodstream that wanted to become tumors. And so luckily that was successful as well. And then I was cancer-free for almost 12 years, which I think was a perfectly timed 12 years. If you ask me, it allowed me to kind of pursue the other aspects of my life and to kind of think about what I wanted in life without cancer being at the forefront. And then about 1.5 years ago, almost 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. And that diagnosis is a little bit more of a mystery than the others. While unfortunate, the 3 previous times, kind of there was a story arc there. They made a certain amount of sense. And the breast cancer didn't really. But luckily, it was a very treatable diagnosis, and so I kind of went through the process of that again, did another year of chemo and surgery, finished treatment for that in December. So right now, it's been 9 months. I have no evidence of disease. I'm no longer in treatment, and I'm just excited to be here.
Well, we're very happy about that as well.
Thank you.
Mary, today we're talking about pediatric cancer, and the reason I think that we're having this encounter with you is to understand better what we don't about how to equip children to think about children's perspectives as they're going through this from a survivor perspective. you went through this as a child. I mean, your entire life from 6 months on has been struggling with this. What should we know about that some of us that are trying to understand don't understand?
Well, I don't know if this is something that people don't understand, but it's certainly something that's true, is that kids are tough, right? Kids are tougher than we are. I certainly know that now as an adult, and I complain about silly things. But so kids have this resilience in them that they don't even know, that their life is unusual, that IVs and, blood draws and chemo and surgery and all that is necessarily out of the ordinary. So they just kind of step up to the task no matter what. I certainly feel that way about what I went through as a kid and as an adolescent, even when I understood things a little bit better. It's only now that when I kind of look back and think, geez, that was really weird. Like, that wasn't normal. And I'm still kind of coming grips to that and realize that, certain kind of experiences I've had are just not typical. But at the same time, I'm really grateful for all of that, which is, I think, a piece of this story that people don't always focus on. I think a lot of the time, we think of childhood cancer as a really tragic story, and it certainly can be, and there's a lot of work we need to do, and obviously I would like to prevent all cancer, but at the end of the day, my story and what I went through as a kid really prepared me in a way that I couldn't expect for what I went through as an adult, both with respect to cancer and in the rest of my life. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, that wasn't the scariest thing I had ever heard of. That didn't flip my life upside down, right? That was just, this year is going to be a little trickier than last.
You have another life that's not involved. I mean, as I understand it, you work at City Year, which is an education nonprofit. You do some volunteerism with cancer children. How have you navigated your professional aspirations and what you want to be and do with the fact that your cancer experience is also a huge part of you? You write about it beautifully.
Sure. Well, as I said kind of before, I think I had this, I was really fortunate there were two spans in my life where cancer wasn't really at the forefront of my existence. It was certainly part of it. There were doctor's appointments here and there. But it wasn't something that I worried about in a big way. And that was from 0 to 12, which was really critical in my development of kind of figuring out who I was and just being a typical kid. And then from 16 to 27, which gave me this wonderful window to go to college, go to graduate school, figure out the career that I wanted to have and start to pursue that. And so I'm really grateful for the periods in my life where cancer wasn't all-consuming. And I recognize that cancer and my experience with cancer and kind of being in these life and death situations from time to time really helped to define my focus and my kind of helped me figure out what I wanted out of life, right? And so while I think some people might expect that I would kind of take a back seat and say, I've done enough, that I really had the opposite experience. And I realized, we don't have much time, any of us, none of us know. And so I need to do the best with what I've got and do the things I want to do in the time that I have.
I know that you care a lot about survivorship and what that means and folks, and I'm sort of interested in the principles of survivorship. What are the, North Star elements, if you will, for people that you can, I'm always interested in people's experience and how you go from a completely unique set of situations to something you can convey to others as principles to think about with regards to surviving.
Sure. So I think one important idea to keep in mind, specifically about childhood cancer, as it relates to survivorship, is that the experience of having childhood cancer doesn't end when you reach adulthood, right? That is a part of my life that has affected who I am and who I will be in so many ways. In, not only kind of emotionally and psychologically in my perspective and my view on existential things, but also physically, medically, right? The challenges I faced as a kid will have implications for the rest of my life. And there are certain things that I'm at higher risk for a lot of different reasons. Because I have a genetic mutation that caused my first kind of cancer, that makes me at higher risk for certain things. I'm at higher risk for things because of the particular diagnoses that I had at times in my life. And then I'm also at higher risk for things because of the treatment that I had. And so I think it's important to kind of keep that longer view in mind, that, you know, just because right now I sit in front of you and I don't have any evidence of disease, and I'm thankful for that, that doesn't mean the story's over and I won and we can just call it a day.
Let me just, finally, we have a lot of practitioners. I was intrigued with this question a moment ago about immunotherapy and potential results and after effects. And we have folks engaged in the science, people engaged in the policy, people who are practitioners, different parts of the ecosystem here. And I'm interested, as part of what I see and feel in a lot of these forums is this massive, leap in science of what might be possible in a few years. As someone who's gone through all of this, I'm just interested in how you look at that. Does it give you hope? Are you happy about it? Or is it something feels distant from you?
Absolutely. I'm thrilled about it. And I've seen a lot of that research and the benefits of it, over the course of my lifetime, right? When I was diagnosed as an infant in the late 80s, I received radiation because that was the only option at that time. And so it's what we needed to do to save my life right then. But since then, we've learned that there are, severe late effects of that, particularly with people with my genetic mutation. And so that's not something that's done anymore. And so I'm really happy to see kind of those developments, and also happy to be a part of them. As I often asked by my doctors if I'll participate in a research study or, give a little saliva to do so they can map things that I don't understand. And it's without hesitation, of course. I'm trying to advance this story as well. And some of that I will benefit from personally. They'll learn things about the treatment that I've had and what I might be at risk for in the future. But I also kind of think of what I can give to the people coming up behind me, right? We hope for a day when there won't be any pediatric cancer patients, but right now that's not the reality. And so anything I can do to help advance the field so that, people can make better decisions about treatment going forward for other patients, I'm thrilled to do.
Well, we're very grateful for you sharing your story today. Ladies and gentlemen, Mary Billington.
Thank you.